Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an eventful day thus far. Had the final chapter of the beginning after the end side story for Jasmine Winborn. After that, reacted to the first episode of Solo Leveling today. It was clean, and I like it thus far. Good first impression of the series, so I'm looking forward to the rest of the episodes. And now it's time for yet another reading of Fire Force. We are almost done, ladies and gentlemen. And then later tonight, reacting to the newest episode of One Piece. Not a special episode, not a recap, but the next episode into the new Egghead arc. So my Saturday is not completely done. So I can't wait for Sunday because that means I get to rest. Because there's no chapters. And I just get to relax a day for myself before I get right back to it on Monday. So yeah, I think I'll actually take Sunday as a day for me to rest. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'll take Sunday for me to rest, and then we'll continue on Monday with everything else. But now, Halster, it's good to see you as always. It's time to continue with more Fire Force. So let's begin, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back. Sorry. Family made potato nacho mixed meal for lunch from a recipe they saw from TikTok. It was actually quite good, so I have a little bit stuck somewhere. But yeah, yo peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another live reading of Fire Force. We're almost done with the entire series. After this one, only 3 more volumes to go. But today, we are going to be checking out 31 of the series, titled An Epic Battle. So let's begin. Summary! Oh, wait, we don't even get a summary. We don't even get a summary. We just get the chapter list. And we get straight into the chapters. Chapters 268 all the way down to 277. Yeah. 268 all the way down to 277. Well, I guess I'll just read the back synopsis. An epic battle! The third battle between Arthur and Dragon proves too big to remain confined to the Earth and escalates into outer space. As Blade clashes with Claw, a secret treasure bestowed by Vulcan grants Arthur new power. Will the victor of this epic battle determine the outcome of the Great Cataclysm? Back on the ground, Fairy and the Cataclysm Squad take action to plunge mankind deeper into despair. Humanity is powerless before Fairy's unparalleled skill in reaping hope from the world. Will there ever be a savior? So, that's pretty much all I can give you guys in terms of summary is concerned, because they don't give me a synopsis. Chapter 268, The Night King's Battle Accounterments. And then it shows Arthur equips the star ring. Then it shows Dragon. A dragon appears. Arthur equips the star ring. Fire Force! And then it has Arthur with the ring on, as he can now survive in space. Thanks to this star ring, I can keep fighting, even in space. The mere ability to breathe will hardly enable you to defeat me. This ring's effects don't stop there. Huh? It can convert the thoughts of the people of Earth into power. What? What do you mean? That's actually kind of broken. It can convert the thoughts of the people of Earth into power, as it shows Arthur's clothes crackling and changing. It seems you too have gained the strength of a Dola. And then Arthur's once tattered clothes turns into like half of a cloak that envelops half of his side, as he just stands there in a full panel, just cloaked in power now. With like a literal cloak. Wow, exposure. I am so sorry. Hold on, let me correct that. It's kind of gloomy outside. It's raining. It's been raining all day. Well, it's been raining ever since I've been asleep. So I gotta correct this. Yes, there we go. I'm kind of bright, but I'm not that bright. But Arthur, yeah, Halster, he looks extremely cool with this look. He has like this star, it's almost as if it's a space cloak around him. I still have a lot of fight left in me. Then show it to me! As Dragon immediately clashes with Arthur. And they start clashing against one another, and it's as if they're inside a video game space. Like, they're on platforming sections all around them. And then it looks like Arthur slashes straight through Dragon, and then Dragon manages to get a hit on Arthur's shoulder, and they continue to fight. Actually, it's not like they're in the game space. They're standing on pieces of the word game Arthur. And then they're clashing with each other, and the words game. Arthur equips the star ring, like the words for that are just erupting around them as they clash. This time, I hope you can last until the end of the world. The world will not end, because you will find hope in my strength. A bold claim! As Dragon goes in to punch Arthur, and Arthur gets blasted across the moon. But Arthur gets right back up again. It is not arrogance as long as I still live. Aren't you glad to have me around, Dragon? Actually, now I've taken an interest in seeing you despair. I will destroy you. Then we're back on Earth in Asakusa, and we got, Shienpa? Shienpai, or I forgot this dude's name. It started with a Shen something. Please forgive me, I completely forgot it. Kon-san, what in the actual heck is going on? Yeah, this is definitely not good. Waka, at the rate they're going, Asakusa's gonna be in trouble soon. Yeah, we're gonna have to do something. I heard those doppelgangers are popping up outside of Asakusa. So what happened with the old boss is happening everywhere. Lucky for us, there aren't any in Asakusa. Wonder why that is. Because what Asakusans see when they picture death isn't the same as what the Imperials see. And it just shows them all standing there pondering. Then we have Shin just going, so, Kon-san, what are you saying exactly? Sorry if I call him Shin. It's just that I forget his name. It started with something. I can't remember his name. We got his name when we were looking at the flashback of Benimaru, but I can't remember it. I'm sorry. So, Kon-san, what are you saying exactly? Benny, you need to be ready. The me that lives in the heads of everyone in Asakusa. Interesting. What you're saying is, my doppelganger's on his way. As it shows the doppelganger of Benimaru smiling with the same type eyes, but he's coming in with flames. It's alright, it's only mentioned once in the story pretty much. Thank you, because I can't remember him. The only guy who can beat you is you. Which basically means I could lose. Whoa, Waka! Don't say that! You'll jinx yourself! You can't ever lose, Waka, not even against Waka! But in that fight, whoever wins, I win, right? This is so confusing! If Tokyo's in trouble, we'd better not just sit around. Get ready, guys! And Benimaru's rallying his people. Then we cut back to the eye, the moon eye that's, connecting all the pillars. And then we see at the bottom of one of these pillars, amidst all these flames of Adola, we see Shinra embedded in it. And he just has his eyes closed. And then it cuts to Haomiya, who's on her knees in the flames of Adola, and she's looking up, and she's looking directly at the Evangelist. Like, the Evangelist. And that's the end of chapter 267. Onwards to 268. Onwards to 269. Those whose names are immortalized. And it cuts to Vulcan, who's driving. Yes, sir. I'm on my way there now. Arthur's trial? Can I really call it that? Anyway, that dude is really something. He's finished his trial and now he's fighting Dragon. I don't know where he is. I don't know where he is. He was doing battle up in the sky a moment ago, but... And then we have Lisa. You! As Lisa hugs you, who's back to normal, thanks to Arthur just straight up obliterating Giovanni. So the fact of the matter is that Arthur came up and used his sword like a gamma knife to eradicate all the bugs that was inside of Yu's brain. He effectively just extinguished Giovanni right then and there. Just so casually. It wasn't like this major, grandiose execution or defeat. He just went like, beep. That's how insignificant Giovanni actually was. He was snuffed out like your average insect. And we know how everyone in Asakusa perceives Benimaru. Yeah. But back with Lisa, she, with teary eyes, she hugs you. Then we have Captain Obi. Vulcan, good work helping out with Arthur. Licht, tell Vulcan what's going on. Vulcan, you said that Arthur is fighting Dragon? The fate of the world will be decided by the outcome of that battle. What? They say that every human life is equal. They all have the same weight, but that's not true at all. The Fire Force has been fighting desperately to save lives, but almost none of those lives would make any difference if they continued or not. Whoa, how can you talk like that? Maybe a better way to say it is that sometimes there are lives that don't matter to the world. What's important to the world are the builders who established the image of it. Vulcan, you are one of them. Of those world builders, Dragon is especially strong. His despair is unique. Considering how quiet things are here, I don't even know if they're still on the Earth. If Arthur can't wipe away Dragon's despair, there will be no stopping the Great Cataclysm. The outcome of their battle will determine the future of the Cataclysm. And then it's just 2 pages, 2 jet black pages, but they're all peppered with like stars here and there. They're just 2 solid black pages. I don't think I've ever read a manga where 2 pages on purpose are just jet black with small white dots for stars. And then there's a light on 1 page that starts to get bigger. And then it gets bigger. And then we get closer to it, and we see Arthur is fighting Dragon in this void of space. The light from their clashes causing these spontaneous explosions. And then, as they're fighting through space, Arthur slashes at Dragon, and Dragon knocks Arthur away, and Arthur gets knocked into a star. And the thing about it is, the star Arthur gets knocked into looks like your classic 5-pointed star. You know, the kind you give kids when they're good in kindergarten? Arthur gets knocked into one. And it looks just like that. It doesn't look like a star in actual space where it's just a small ball of gas and it's just round. No, it looks like your atypical cartoon star shape. And Arthur gets knocked into it. And he bounces off, and then it shows Dragon proceeding to punch this star. Yo, didn't know I was live, just left the special video. You mean the solo leveling video? Yeah, CDs, I gotta continue with Fire Force. We're ending the series of my Fire Force read-through ends next week. It ends on Wednesday. And then after that, we have the Film Red pack for Pirate Warriors 4. Can't wait for it, but yeah, man. Yeah, I still have a lot lined up. I said that I had a bunch of things to do today in the community tab. But Dragon goes to punch Arthur, and he punches him straight through this star. And then it shows Arthur suffering the damage. You see blood rise up from him, but then Arthur rights himself, and he starts bouncing through the debris. And then he proceeds to slash at Dragon and actually destroys Dragon's face mask. He actually destroys it. You sir, you was all like, wait, let me breathe. No, man, no, I gotta keep going. This channel ain't gonna grow bigger if I slow down too much. I gotta keep going. But Arthur slashes at Dragon, and it knocks off his faceplate. But then Dragon takes his claws and slashes straight through Arthur. But then Arthur slashes straight through Dragon and destroys more of his armor. Yeah, you did, but you was a slide back and forth. Yeah, man, it happens. It'll happen. But Arthur and Dragon keep slashing at each other, and there's more explosions in space as they continue to chip away at each other. Then it has Dragon drawing his hand, Arthur drawing his hand, and then there's an explosion, a massive explosion, even bigger than the ones they were causing just from them clashing with one another. They go in for one more attack. There's a big old space explosion, and then we just see the face of Arthur and Dragon as they both cough out blood, but we have no idea who's been fatally hit. And it's the both of them. Both Arthur and Dragon get stabbed straight through the chest. Arthur is stabbing Dragon through the chest because Arthur brought his sword down and cleaved Dragon into his chest, like cleaved him straight in the chest. And then Dragon has stabbed Arthur through his chest, and his claws are going straight through his back. And that's how we end the chapter. That's the end of chapter 269. Onwards to 270, imbued within the sword. And we have Arthur still hanging on. And then we have Arthur screaming out, "Ah!" And he proceeds to cleave Dragon once again. But then Dragon takes his claws out of Arthur's chest and he starts bleeding. And then Dragon is bleeding. Dragon himself is bleeding. But then it shows Arthur as it shows his gouged out side. Like there's a side of him that's gouged out. And then Dragon speaks. "This is a sensation I have never felt before. I can tell that death is approaching the both of us. Do not disappoint me before it all ends." "You will not be disappointed. You can be sure of that. I will defeat you!" As Arthur slashes through Dragon again. And then Dragon is bringing his fist back, and then he proceeds to punch Arthur. But Arthur is still keeping his guard up. And then Dragon opens his mouth. Dragon opens his mouth to blast Arthur, and he lets out a blast that Arthur almost gets hit by, but it's like he bends his body backwards in order to keep the beam from hitting directly. He kind of allows it to skim over his face, so to speak. And he gets right back up and proceeds to cleave Dragon in his arm. And Arthur looks at his arm as Dragon grabs him with his other arm. If I'm looking at this right, Arthur just took off one of Dragon's hands. Like he took off his left hand, but he grabs Arthur with the other one and starts to choke him. Oh, I know what it is. It's not that he grabbed Arthur by the other hand to choke him. He took the part of his hand, he took his arm that was cut off and he slashed Arthur across the face with it. Like with the stump, just from the face of it, he slices through Arthur's eye. Like you see the line go through his eye and across his face. But Arthur still manages to take his sword and plunge it straight into the chest of Dragon. And as that's going on, Arthur is taking his sword and yanking it through as they both go hurtling towards the face of the moon. And then, as we're right here, we see Arthur standing over Dragon, face bleeding profusely because of the cut that was suffered. His face is just bleeding as Arthur's looking at Dragon. And Dragon is smiling as he takes this moment to headbutt Arthur. "If I let you fall into despair, the earth will be no more!" And then there's another blast from Dragon that hits Arthur, but it's not enough to utterly destroy him. "The Night King will never be defeated. I cannot afford to let it end here. If there is no more Earth, there will be nothing for him to protect when he awakens. I promised that I would save you, defeat Dragon, and find a way to help him. A knight always keeps his promises." And mind you, Arthur is saying this while he is also missing... He's also missing his left hand as well. Because I'm going back through the pages and I'm trying to see when did Arthur miss his hand. Like, I'm trying to see, because Arthur's hand is missing. His left hand is missing. Yeah, he's standing there and his left hand is missing. I promised that I would save you, defeat Dragon, and find a way to help him. A knight always keeps his promises. As, electricity is crackling around where his hand used to be. I think that was the blast. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, because the blast shows his hand being engulfed in the blast shows his hand being engulfed in this blast. So I think with this blast that Dragon let out, Arthur's hand got taken with it. Did you think you could slay me and remain unscathed? I should have promised that I would return alive. Arrogance. No one has faced me and lived to tell the tale. I was aware of the risk. And then Arthur screams out, and then Dragon screams out. And they clash at each other with their remaining hands, with their remaining arms. Dragon is missing his left one, and Arthur's missing his left one. But thankfully, Arthur didn't lose his dominant sword hand, right? I'm pretty glad that he didn't miss that. But then when they're clashing, Dragon tries to blast Arthur again, and he dodges out of the way. And then Arthur slashes through the air, and it causes explosions in space. And Arthur manages to slash straight through Dragon. It's like this attack from Arthur is causing the stars in the sky to explode. He's just taking his weapon, taking Excalibur, and it's destroying the stars in the sky. And he slashes through Dragon. But then Dragon proceeds to hit Arthur and body him and cause him to bounce across the moon. But Dragon drops to a knee. And then Arthur is on his. Surrender. This is where you die. Yes, you may be right. In Asakusa, I learned about the press of death. But it's not enough. The awareness of death's approach is not enough to defeat Dragon. To unleash the ultimate flash, I need readiness for death. And that's the end of the chapter. That's the end of chapter 270. Onwards to 271. Death is hope. And coincidentally, the background image for chapter 71 is that of Death himself from Soul Eater. And then we have a heartbeat monitor going. Life is, hope is, despair is. Living things live, and without exception they die. What do people envision as they continue on their way to the death that is assured them? What hope do they cling to? That is how they go on living, distracting themselves from despair. Then there is this man, Dragon. To the man who had nothing, life held no meaning. Oh wait, this is a narrator. Oh, I gotta do this right. Life is, hope is, despair is. Living things live, and without exception they die. What do people envision as they continue on their way to the death that is assured them? What hope do they cling to? That is how they go on living, distracting themselves from despair. Then there is this man, Dragon. To the man who had nothing, life held no meaning. To Dragon, life is vanity. But even that empty life would be given death, which is to say that all he has is despair. And one appears before the invincible Dragon, one who would drive him to the brink of death. Injured, sensing his demise, as death approaches, for the first time he sees a glimmer of this thing called hope. He attempts to find hope in the despair of death. But he is not yet certain. He still has his doubts. Does this man truly have the ability to drive him to his end? Him? This man, Arthur Boyle. He saw fantasies, dreams, things that could never be, creatures that could not exist, events that could never happen, the picture-perfect world of his dreams and fantasies. All who see him call him a fool. But he knew how to enjoy it. He enjoyed life, as should all of you. The fear of a spontaneous human combustion, the tragedy of being abandoned by his parents, with delusions that rendered him incapable of feeling down, he enjoyed it all. Is he truly, literally a fool? Or is he perhaps merely winning at life? And now he intends to enjoy even death. And Arthur is standing in front of this face of death, but it really just looks like Lord Death from Soul Eater. It's literally Lord Death's skull face, skull mask that he would have. He enjoys the cold, vast space where he will meet his end, dubbing it Avalon, where the Night King sleeps. Dragon and Arthur. At a glance, these rivals appear to be complete opposites, but they have one thing in common. Both of them find hope in death. And then it shows Arthur, still bloodied and massively bruised, with chunks of him missing, let's just say. He stands and goes, "I will end you, dragon!" "You, Arthur, put an end to my long years of despair!" An extreme state beyond the press of death. Readiness for death. In that state, of course I'll only be able to unleash one attack. My final attack. But it is this attack that will lead to the next stage. You cannot strike me down with any mere sword swipe. You should be grateful I'm here, dragon. In this one flash, you will see hope. We've had a lot of fun, as Arthur starts running. We've had a lot of fun. Now let's enjoy our deaths, as Dragon charges up a beam. And then Arthur launches at Dragon full tilt, and Dragon charges up the biggest beam he can, and all we see is an explosion. The light of this explosion being seen from the other side of the earth. And then one panel is just the light of a massive explosion. As Arthur, his whole lower body is engulfed in Dragon's blast as he proceeds to still launch at Dragon. Wow! Arthur allowed his entire lower half to be completely obliterated as he simply goes, "Violet!" Wow. Wow. He allowed his entire lower body to be completely destroyed by Dragon as he still prepares to bring his sword down on him. And that's the end of the chapter. I'm not going to look at chat. I got to see what happens next. Chapter 272, The Night King. And we see the beam from Dragon reaching from the moon into outer space. But we still see Arthur hurtling towards Dragon, sword drawn, and preparing to bring it down. This is it! Oh, so this is... Violet Earthcleaver! And Arthur unleashes a slash so long and so powerful that it originates from the moon, but the slash goes through not only the hovering eye where the cataclysm is, where the pillars and this giant eye moon is hovering over Tokyo, but the slash also goes through the world itself. This man almost cut the world in half. He almost cut the world in half. And everyone just sees this massive light. This massive light erupt across the entire planet, with Captain Obi going, "What's that light? It's cutting through the planet." Yep, he cut the world in half. He cut the world in half. He cut the world in half. Arthur's light of hope. And it shows the next panel where the whole world has been sliced in half. It's not halfway. It's not halfway. He cut it in half. I thought it was only going halfway. It shows the light of his slash going from the whole full circumference of the earth. He cut the world in half. He cut the world in half. So, where will that attack put us?
Arthur did it!
Goes Tamaki.
Is he going to be okay?
There's no way he's just gonna sit still after seeing Arthur pull that off. And then it shows Arthur and his upper torso just floating in space, with Excalibur still sizzling from that massive attack. Then we have Dragon, who's been cleaved directly, vertically. Just been, what is it? Bifurcated? Bisection is when you get cut through your midsection. But I think bifurcation is when you get cut from your top to your bottom straight down the middle. I think my terminology for dismemberment is correct. Don't ask how I know. Just know that I'm pretty sure that I'm correct with the bifurcation. And it just shows Dragon floating in space, whole body just separated, with him smiling, going, "Bravo, Arthur. Well done. You have slain me. You showed me hope at the end of this dull and dreary life. Thank you." As Dragon floats through space. "I am glad to have had you around, Arthur." As Dragon floats through space, and the rest of his body just disintegrates into space, while Arthur continues to float as a torso. Well, we definitely know what one of my hobbies is. No, you don't, because that's not one of my hobbies. Don't even go that way. Don't even attempt. I only did it because I was, like, looking. I only did it because I wanted to make sure that my terminology was right. It's not one I specialize in. Don't even, Holster. Sorry, I was looking at a comment from something else. But Dragon disintegrates, and Arthur is just a floating torso in space. And then Fairy is standing on the rooftop, kind of sweating, going, "Dragon? Lost? But that's impossible. Dragon has seen hope, and that hope is purging the despair." Looking up the terminology for dismemberment clearly, yeah, I want to make sure I'm right. I want to make sure I'm right when I'm talking about the specific methods of dismemberment. I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the right terminology. I like to be accurate. But then Lick goes, "Arthur's light is extinguishing the flames of the great cataclysm. For now, at least, it looks like the cataclysm has stopped." So Arthur beat the dragon. What you think I was implying? Me just looking up different methods of dismemberment. That's all. You thought I was talking about other things? Like, ooh, let me look up how this dismemberment happens. No. I figured you were just talking about me actually taking time to look this stuff up. Yeah, that's what I was implying. Just me looking up different types of dismemberment just in my free time. I only do it when I'm on stream with you guys. I never look it up on my own time. But Vulcan goes, "So Arthur beat the dragon. Nice work, Arthur," goes Captain Obi.
"Arthur will come back, won't he?" "Of course. He's fine. He has to be."
And it shows Arthur just still floating in space. And then Arthur just screams out across the earth, "Well, Shinra, how long will you keep playing the devil? I have become the Night King!" And he screams this out. "I've taken a bit too much of a beating. Even I will need some time to recover from this." And then the light. Oh, I thought you said you were thinking I was implying you just casually dismember people in my spare time. My bad. That's on me. Oh no, you're good, Holster. Never that. I have a reputation to uphold, and if I was the type of person to do that thing, I wouldn't be dedicating so much time to running a YouTube channel. Plus, no. But Arthur is seeing the sun from the distance, and the light is shining on him as he goes, "It's brighter from here than from Earth." And he just closes his eyes as Excalibur looks like it's about to... Wow. Arthur just lets go of Excalibur, and he's left smiling in space as his torso just flows. It looks like his torso's flowing towards the sun. "It's all up to you now, hero." And then it shows, just know I agree with you. Yeah, just know. But it shows a slash through the Great Cataclysm. The Great Cataclysm moon. And then Sister Sumire notices and goes,
What in the world? I thought the Great Cataclysm was proceeding as planned.
and it shows that, oh, I get it. The pillars, I thought they were close to the flames of Adola on the ground. No, they're upside down towards the center of the eye. But then it zooms in on Shinra, whose eyes open immediately, and Sister Sumire notices. And then Shinra, let's go! Shinra immediately starts struggling, and he rips out of the pillar with his teeth gritted, sharp teeth gritted. And then there's an explosion from where Shinra was.
Huh? How's the world doing?
And he's holding on to the pillar where he was attached to, and that's the end of chapter 272. Onwards to 273, Return of the Hero. And then we have a fairy floating in the air, just going, watching as the clouds start to clear up. The clouds start to clear up, the storm clouds are dissipating, and then we see birds flying in the sky. And then we have the people going, the cataclysm stopped? Are we safe now? And then Fairy just keeps thinking,
Impossible. Dragon? Defeated? The great beast lost to a lowly Company 8 soldier. The dragon known to history as a natural disaster. Beaten by a little boy? He gave hope to the great beast of despair? That little boy? But the despair hasn't ended yet. As a member of the Cataclysm Squad, I will not let it end! And then Fairy puts his hand up in the air. And then the clouds start to clear out from the entire city. And then we get Captain Obi. Well, it looks like we stopped the Great Cataclysm for now. But I suspect this means that Arthur has defeated Dragon.
Dragon was a powerful world builder, so eliminating his despair has contained the explosion. Oh wait,
Dragon was a powerful world builder, so eliminating his despair has contained the cataclysm. But I seriously doubt we've seen the end of this.
And then it shows Fairy with his hands in the air going, I will remind you, this is despair! And then there's this just whoom as Fairy apparently has taken hold of the moon, apparently?
Let the despair begin again.
And the whole planet starts shaking. What's this shaking? An earthquake? And then Joker looks up and goes, as one of his cigarettes falls out of his mouth. No, look above us. As we see the eye of the moon, and the eye has turned black, just as it would appear in Soul Eater. The moon? As Fairy has taken hold of the moon and is dropping it towards the earth. And then all the civilians are screaming like, ah! Why is the moon so close? And then we have Fairy, who's just gone completely crazy.
I will pluck every last bud of hope. This moonshot will plunge you into new despair, you worthless grunts!
And as this is happening, massive winds just start to whip up all across the city, destroying buildings, ripping out trees. With Captain Obi going, we have to evacuate, now! And then Lick just stands there, not moving, going,
yeah, but where would we evacuate to?
Hinawa, Maki, can't you do something?
Of course we'll do everything we can. Maki, we're going to divert the moon's trajectory. Yes, sir! Yes, sir! This stupid
And then Maki is looking into the eye of the moon, and it's glaring back at her, and she's just staring at the moon's eye, wide-eyed. And then all of a sudden, Maki gets forced to the ground with extreme force. Are you okay, Maki?
I can't let it crush me. I have to push it back.
And while Maki's doing everything in her power to keep the moon from falling, she starts to have a nosebleed because this is putting a massive amount of strain on her. And she keeps looking up, holding one eye open, because this is the heaviest force she's ever had to repel.
The sheer, overwhelming mass, it's crushing me.
As it shows the moon as it appears in Soul Eater, black sclera, white pupil, and a big old giant smile on its face. Then we have Lee. Kareem, can you do something with your thermoacoustic cooling?
I'll try. But what can I do? What can I do?
Juggernaut, can you shoot it down?
It's still out of range. But even when it does get in range.
And then it shows Captain Honda going, Soldiers of Special Fire Force Company 2, thank you for all your service. Your mission ends here. Now let's pray for the people we care about. As it shows Captain Honda smiling as he says this, and then the rest of his companies just start tearing up going, Captain, thank you very much, sir. And then one of them looks up and is confused as they see something flying in the air at top speed.
Huh?
Then we have Fairy again.
Not a single one of you is capable of stopping us now. Be squashed like the bugs you are!
But then all of a sudden, it seems while the moon is coming closer to the Earth, Fairy is surprised as something flies at high speed towards the moon and then hits it with extreme force. And what is it that hits the moon? It's Shinra! Shinra is stopping the moon. He just kicks the moon and stops it while it's falling. And he's just going, ah!
The fourth pillar? But how?
And then it shows Sho.
Ooh! Oh, we about to get some brotherly action. Let's go!
We get Sho, who shows up right next to Fairy going,
Unfortunately for you, my brother has returned.
And that's the end of chapter 273, onwards to 274, a savior and his guardian angel. And we have Sho floating in the air right in front of Fairy.
Sho, you emerge from your pillar. Then that's...
And he's looking at the moon as we have all this rumbling from the surface of the moon, and then Sho speaks. I'm loving this entire volume.
Fairy, you have used your power to drop the moon and accelerate the despair. But my brother will stop the moon. Your plot is foiled. Do you think he can stop the moon at that altitude? He can't possibly push it back now. You're too late. What are you so afraid of, Fairy? Does my brother frighten you that badly?
And then Fairy's eyes kind of twitch because he's all,
what? My brother is our savior. His very existence fills you with unbearable dread.
And then the rumbling stops as Shinra has stopped the moon from falling. And Sho just smiles at us all like, that's my big bro. Oh, I love this. I love this. I love this. But Sho looks over and smirks, with Fairy thinking, it can't be. And then everyone is looking up. Maki is looking up as well, with her nose kind of dried from bleeding, as she goes,
the moon stopped?
Then we have Joker. He did it. He actually stopped the darn moon. That Shinra No doubt about it. Then we have Licht.
It still seems awfully close to the Earth, though.
And then Shinra is just in the air. And he's successfully stopped the moon from falling to Earth. This man just kicked the moon and stopped it from falling and crushing the world. And we've seen the moon. We've seen the moon, how big it is, and Shinra just stopped it by kicking it. Look.
I guess I stopped it. Looks like it's done falling anyway. Well, that's good enough.
And then we have Fairy.
That's absurd. I refuse to accept this. That should not be possible. Is that not the reason you white-clad warriors fear my brother so? As long as there is a savior, there will be no end to hope. My brother will save the world, even if he must change the laws of physics to do it.
And oh my goodness. See, I'm not gonna toot the horn about my own voice acting for these characters, but these lines are just so good from Show right now.
My brother will save the world, even if he must change the laws of physics to do it. Now you will die, Fairy. You're going to stop.
And then time slows down as Sho swings his sword towards Fairy. But Fairy somehow manages to deflect Sho. And then Sho looks confused at Fairy, who starts smiling.
What? How are you moving? Now that we are so close to Adola, you brothers aren't the only ones who can manipulate time. But your power is the manipulation of gravitational forces. What did you do? Gravity can warp space and interfere with the motion of time by manipulating the gravity around us both. I interrupted the flow of time that you were attempting to control. You're not the only one who can stop time. What's wrong? Are you helpless now that there's someone else can fight back against your time freezes?
And then Sho goes,
No, I was merely thinking, oh, is that all?
Sho is going,
No, I was merely thinking, oh, is that all?
what?
All you have done is bring yourself into the same arena. My blade will still be too swift for you to follow. Don't think so highly of yourself. I was meant to be your guardian. You can't possibly be a match for me.
And then Sho immediately stabs Fairy through the chest. Just instantly.
What? This is goodbye.
As he yanks his sword out. And then Fairy is looking at his body, heavily bleeding, not only from his chest, but from his mouth as well. And then Fairy starts smiling. Still.
Don't give yourself to so much credit, you filthy brat. Don't be so smug just because you've killed me. Don't think you've won. You haven't beaten me, you rotten kid. Listen to you. Is that the behavior of the leader of the Cataclysm Squad? Don't you have more respectable final words? You're right. I am on the Cataclysm Squad, and I applaud your efforts.
And then multiple members of the Cataclysm Squad land around Fairy.
Now, it is time for the martyrdom. The Cataclysm Squad will give our lives to summon doppelgangers. Doppelgangers are strong world builders. Doppelgangers who will lead you all to despair.
As all of the members of the Cataclysm Squad prepare to, well, end themselves by slicing their own throats. And this surprises Sho as we see a massive spray of blood from off screen shoot up into the air of all the members of the Cataclysm Squads cutting their throats. And then we just see the legs of Fairy laying in pools of blood of not only his, but every other member of the Cataclysm Squad too.
They took their own lives. What an unpleasant bunch. But he said doppelgangers would appear.
And then we see the flames of Adola.
And of powerful world builders.
And then we see doppelgangers. Ooh, we see doppelgangers, one of them that looks like the same horned, one-eyed infernal that took down Captain Burns, and another that looks exactly like Benimaru. And that's the end of chapter 274. Onwards to 275, Death Smiles. And then we have Benimaru, and he's just sitting down. And then he opens his eyes in Asakusa, and then he starts walking around. And then Benimaru looks in one direction, and then there's another Benimaru and another. I can't tell if this is within his head or if he's actually looking at another Benimaru, but it seems to be something in his head. And then it shows Benimaru with Conro right behind him. Benny. Yeah. Benimaru, Burns, Kurono. Yeah, one of these doppelgangers in that last panel looks exactly like Kurono because only Kurono has those super inverted cat-like eyes. So there's a doppelganger of Kurono, there's a doppelganger of Burns, and there's a doppelganger of Benimaru. I'm trying to make out the doppelganger that's all the way in the back. Why does that particular doppelganger look so similar to Nataku? Because there's no other characters that has like swept up hair like that. It looks just like it's shaped just like Nataku. But then we have Kanro. Benny. Yeah. It's just like you said, Kanro. Doppelgangers. Doppelgangers. Conro says doppelgangers. 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 Yeah. And then it shows Sho still looking at Fairy's lifeless body.
The doppelgangers of powerful world builders. We of the Cataclysm Squad summon them with all despair. Here they come.
As Sho looks up, and we see big old blasts, like blasts just coming down from the Adola Eye, and they land directly towards the city, and then even more start to rain down all over the city. It's just everywhere. Think of when Transformers came to Earth like the Decepticons, and they just landed everywhere and just destroyed so many things on impact. But then the citizens are looking amidst all this destruction.
What in the world is going on? I thought the cataclysm was stopped.
Look over there! The destroyer of Asakusa! And it's Infernal Benimaru, and you can tell it's Infernal Benimaru because his body looks even ganglier than the actual Benimaru. Then we have Shinra, who's watching all this go on, and then Sho lands behind him.
Brother, should have known they wouldn't let it end here. The Cataclysm Squad martyred themselves to summon doppelgangers. We'll stop them together. No, there is something else you must do, for you're the only one who can. Something I need to do?
And then it shows the slice through the Adola Eye, like the Adola Moon that's over Tokyo, that Arthur sliced into. Sho goes,
You must settle things with the Saintess Halmia and the Evangelists. As our savior, you are the only one who can. You are the guardian angel who shows me the way, Sho. Our mother, too. You will find everything in Adola. Yeah, I have to make sure Arthur still has a place to come back to. Let's save the world, Sho! This will be this tale's the final battle.
And then it shows Nataku in the air. Yeah, it shows Nataku falling in the air, and yeah, it's Nataku. Remember, he's also a pillar as well. He's freed from Adola. Ah! And he uses powers to save himself.
Where in the world? Are we free from Adola?
And then Nataku looks up and he sees the giant eye just over the entire city.
No, this world is still connected to the imaginary world. To Adola! I should try to find someone.
And then as Nataku is running through the streets, he goes,
I've been hearing explosions. There's still chaos everywhere. Were Shinra and the other pillars set free too? Kurono! I had to find Kurono!
And then he runs up to someone who looks like Kurono around the corner.
Kurono! This is great! Were you looking for me too?
And then this individual swipes at Nataku and slaps him away. And then Nataku falls to the ground. Yes, Taku. I was looking for you.
Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Kurono. Have you forgotten your Uncle Death?
No, Kurono wouldn't smile defiantly like that.
Oh, but of course I would.
Kurono is a real sicko. He would never smile defiantly when bullying someone. To Kurono, beating up on the weak is just something he does. It's not something to laugh about. But if you smile when you bully someone, that's proof that you think you're doing something wrong. You're just a cheap copy pretending to be a sicko. You are not Kurono!
Nataku, you're a smart boy, but you still don't get it. In this world, it doesn't matter if I'm real or fake. If people imagine someone to be a certain way, there's nothing wrong with that version taking the place of the real one. People always accept cheap imitations. It happens all the time. And here we are. So yeah, we're here with Doppelganger Kurono going up against Nataku. And that's the end of chapter 275. Onwards to 276. Cheap imitation.
You're nothing but a fake!
But how can you be so sure? As a physical manifestation of how people see him, couldn't you agree that I'm more like the Kurono that everyone knows? Once I've taken his place, no one's going to care except for the people who were close to him. If the copy beats the original, that is. We live in a world where anyone can get away with something if they have the guts to do it. I just have to beat him. If I win, that makes me the real one. And no one will give a darn. The world will be overrun with fakes before you know it. And then Nataku is just standing there, and then as his mouth opens, we have that same eye of Rekka going, "Yes, yes, it's just a little fear. You can admit it, and if I know you, you can overcome that fear." Are you afraid that the real one will disappear? And then the eyes of this Kurono doppelganger start to glow completely. The only ones who will suffer when the original disappears will be the people who knew him. And in this big, wide world, there are only a few of those. You imagine the real Kurono disappearing, and it scares you. Does it make you feel despair? All right, then your fake Uncle Death will go get rid of the real one.
No, stop!
And as Nataku tries to run over to Doppelganger Kurono, someone with a bandaged hand grabs him by the head and tosses him back. It's the real Kurono!
Huh?
Yep, the real Kurono is standing there. The unsmiling kind.
Kurono-san!
I don't believe this. I have a doppelganger? I'm going to get rid of you and bring despair down on the sixth pillar. And then we have Okuro. Please step back, Nataku.
Okuro!
Don't worry, I'm sure it'll all work out. As we have Kurono going up against his very own doppelganger. And then his doppelganger launches at him.
Yeah! You're going down! I'm gonna beat the life out of you!
And when it looks like he swipes at Kurono immediately clashes. Immediately clashes with him, deflects him, and then tosses smoke in front of this Kurono. But then Doppelganger Kurono disappears into the smoke going, "Your smoke is my smoke too," as the smoke envelops the real Kurono. And then when it dissipates, Doppelganger Kurono slashes across real Kurono. And there's a cut on Kurono's cheek.
I need to see more blood!
And this crazy Doppelganger Kurono licks his knife, while the real Kurono twitches at it as like, "You're weird."
What's wrong, Kurono? I'm gonna take your place, you know. You're gonna be replaced by a fake.
Is this how people see me?
Ah?
It's like some kind of homicidal maniac written by a third-rate screenwriter.
This is how people see us. I am the incarnation of cheap Yuichiro Kurono imitations. I may be fake, but I can take your place and no one is going to care in the least. But you'll hurt the real Kurono and the people who know him! We'll care! We're just a bunch of sticky-fingered crooks. We're not gonna get hung over a little existence theft.
As he as Doppelganger Kurano creates a katana. No, it's not a katana. It's a scythe, a smoke scythe, and slashes at real Kurano.
History is written by the winners. They can do whatever they want. That's how the world has always been. Kurano, take him down! Do you think random extras who have nothing to do with building the world will care? They're a bunch of worms with no morals and not a thought in their heads. They're not capable of that kind of discernment.
And then while Kurano is deflecting this scythe, it generates a spike from the shaft of it, and it almost stabs Kurano in the face. And this spike explodes and blasts real Kurano back.
Die! Die! Die!
And then real Kurano, lands on his feet and just goes, "There are two things that make you different from me. First, no matter how strong I may be, I currently have no desire to use that strength to leave the path of humanity. And second, I am a good-natured wage slave, not a maniac."
How can you possibly say that? You bully little children!
I do it strictly within the parameters of my contract. I only bully children after I have my company's permission. In other words, when I bully kids, it's socially approved.
Well, my replacing you is approved too.
No, there's no way that can be approved. Anyone who approves that either doesn't know and or care about any of this, thinks it's mature and grown up to not let it bother them, or always possessed a certain unique type of human flaw that led them to similarly thieving tendencies. In the first place, it's not the random extras that you need to be getting permission from anyway. It's the guy you're trying to replace, and that's me. Now I'm going to give you my answer. Ooh! Oh my goodness, I love Kurano spitting right now. I love it! 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 It's the guy you're trying to replace, and that's me. Now I'm going to give you my answer. And Kurano creates this big scythe. Now, what we've seen before is just like a long pole arm with like a small sickle at the end. He creates a legit, really big scythe with a long blade. It just wasn't going to work out this time. So I respectfully ask you to leave this life. As Doppelganger Kurano just stands there smiling. And that's the end of chapter 276 onwards to 277. Rip off or homage. And then crazy Kurano just goes,
I'm gonna turn your guts into confetti. I'm gonna feed.
I'm guessing that this is the I guess this is the manga way of them bleeping out what this Kurano is saying. A maniacal laugh followed by graphic threats. What is wrong with you? Suddenly you sound like Pan from Company 4. Is this really what everyone thinks I'm like? And then Kurano looks over at Okudo.
I mean, yeah, that's just how it goes with people you're not really close to. They characterize you as some kind of stock character, file you away in their memory, and think they know who you are.
Still, such a cookie-cutter psychopath. I do care what people think. It affects my salary reviews. I love Kurano. Can I say that? I love him. I love him. I just love his whole disposition during this whole altercation. I do care what people think. It affects my salary reviews. And then crazy Kurano, fake Kurano just licks his knife with Kurano going, would you stop licking that blade every time?
We may not see the world the same way, but we're not that different.
And then fake Kurano clashes with real Kurano, who still remains calm all the same. You think so?
You're a piece of trash who constantly bullies the weak.
Sorry, I had to burp there.
You're a piece of trash who constantly bullies the weak. You could say I'm the real you as people imagine you.
And then fake Kudono sends this smoke wheel towards real Kudono, which then explodes and envelops him in smoke.
That smoke is the blade that will tear you to pieces!
But then Kudono, using his scythe, jumps out of there while he's also cutting the blades made from this smoke. And then he lands, but then Nataku notices that blood is dripping from our friendly neighborhood Kudono.
I'm not interested in social status, and that lack of inhibitions is what makes me stronger than you.
Really? I was actually thinking if you were too strong, I'd just run and let you have my status. But it doesn't look like I'm gonna need to.
Don't act so tough, Original.
I'm not acting. We're similar in that we both only care about ourselves. But deep down, you and I are nothing alike.
Tell me what's different!
As Kudono creates these clawed hands out of smoke, and fake Kudono does the same thing, and these clawed hands clash against each other, while Kudono talks to his doppelganger. I like to do my own thing, but I don't fight my battles alone.
And you're saying that makes you stronger than me?
And Nataku looks as Kudono is caught in jaws, in, toothy jaws made of very sharp fangs of, fang jaws. I was trying to find that word so much. Please, I apologize. He gets caught in these fang jaws of smoke by fake Kudono. My strength doesn't come from being a homicidal maniac. I am a professional wage slave. Department Chief Oguro, your orders.
Get him.
You got it, boss. And then the very jaws that was holding Kudono tightly explode as giant clawed hands land right next to the fake Kudono, and he dodges away from it, smiling, but real Kudono is right there in front of him. And Kudono gets hit by his doppelganger's own smoke and sent flying. And then we see, or no, this is Kudono. He's the one who, it's not his doppelganger. I got confused because Kudono, the real Kudono, his face looked like it was engulfed in smoke, but I didn't notice that it was his doppelganger. Was I wrong? No, it's the fake. It's the fake getting launched back by real I can't tell. I'm gonna find out in the next page, but one of the Kudonos gets launched into the wall, and then we see like these tendrils in the air, and this one Kudono is smiling, looking at. Yes, so this was real Kudono. It was real Kudono who lands in front of his doppelganger, then slams him into a wall with like this massive mass of smokes. I got it right. This massive mass of smoke, and then his doppelganger just looking up, smiling, as these giant Hydra-looking tendrils are right behind real Kudono. I can fight. I can keep fighting because I can pin all the responsibility onto my superiors.
You can't make a single move without your boss's permission. I can free you from that life.
You are trying so pathetically. You are trying so pathetically hard to copy me and take my place. And then Kudono just goes, "Are you in love with me?" And his clone doesn't say anything.
Ew. No! I just want all the profits that I get from being you.
And then we just see these Hydras just engulf this doppelganger and just completely and utterly destroy him right then and there. And what's left is just like a big old smoke symbol in the face of Death's mask from Soul Eater. And real Kudono has won. I can't give my consent to a guy who's only in it for his own profit and glory. You only want to take my place so you can have what's mine. If there was any love behind it, I might have been willing to trade places. And then it has Nataku running up to Kudono. Kudono-san! And then Kudono's just looking at him.
Oh, good. It's the real Kudonos.
And then Kudono just gives him a noogie. Ah! It's still me, and this is the Uncle Death that's going to bully you from now on. as Kureno kind of slightly smiles, and Natsuko looks at him as both of them look up to the sky, and we still see the eye of the cataclysm. Assuming the world still exists, I mean. To be continued in volume 32. And we got translator notes. Yeah, just one, though. That's the end of all the chapters in volume 31. We got one translator note, and then we can call it a session. Translation notes. Moonshot. Page 113. In a more literal translation, Fairy says that with this Tsukiotoshi, they will remember despair. Tsukiotoshi is a Japanese word referring to pushing someone such that they will then fall, such as pushing them out a window or off a cliff. In this case, he would be shoving them into the depths of despair. But in this case, it also literally means dropping, otoshi, the moon, ski, or suki. And that is the end of the translation notes. We got more ads at the end of this. Yeah, we got more ads at the end of this volume taking up space. And that's it for volume 31. Wow, they put the security tab on the back cover. Do that from now on. I'm not going to worry about the security tab on it because it's not on an actual page. But we are done. This is your favorite Kureno fight, which there isn't many of, but this fight and the speech to Dantaku are the only two Kureno moments you like the most. I gotta say, this was a great volume. We saw the complete and utter destruction of Dragon. Arthur, at the pinnacle of his strength, the man cleaved and cut the world in half. You don't see many people saying they do that in anime and manga, just completely cutting the world in half. Then, Shinra's freed. All of the Cataclysm squad are dead, but they did it in order to martyr themselves and summon more doppelgangers to try and continue to plunge the world into despair. Sho and Shinra are working together. Shinra stops the moon from dropping onto the earth. And now, we gotta deal with everyone taking out their doppelgangers, with Kureno taking out the first of his. He took out his doppelganger. Now we still got the other ones. The one for Captain Burns, and we still got the one for Benimaru. We still got a couple more doppelgangers to deal with before we're done. But, ladies and gentlemen, we only have 3 more times to do this. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I am almost done reading Fire Force. As you know, I take a break from reading volumes on Sundays, and we'll pick up right again on Monday. But we are almost done, ladies and gentlemen. For the past, might as well say 31 days, I've been reading Fire Force to all of you, and I've been meaning to do it. Those volumes have been sitting on my shelf for a very long time, and I've waited for so long to get this series out to you, and we're almost done. So I have to say thank you, everyone. And here's the thing. I need you guys to know this, and I need you to really pay attention to when I say this. And this goes for how I operate on this channel. As long as you guys are entertained by what I do, and you're enjoying yourselves, the amount of people who either watch my videos or even show up to my live streams, they don't matter at all. As long as you guys are entertained, that's really all that matters to me at the end of the day. So if I was able to accomplish that, I couldn't care less if this stream only does like 2 views or 1 view or whatever. I don't care. Would it help if I had thousands upon thousands of views for every single thing that I did? Yes, it definitely would. It would affect my revenue in a great way, and it would make my channel even better, in a much better position. But all that matters to me at the end of the day is that you guys are entertained. And I have to say that there hasn't been a single moment where I haven't enjoyed reading Fire Force to all of you, and I can't wait to read you the final 3 volumes of this entire series. I'm done for today, ladies and gentlemen. We still got a One Piece episode later tonight, but that'll be tonight. For right now, I'm going to sit back, relax, because I've been busy all day. All I can say to you right now, from Halster to CDs to anyone else who's tuned in, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, subscribe, even become a member. These things do help, in fact, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples.